What's up, y'all? We're going to be back with another episode with Ben Azadi today. I'm going to wait for him to get on board here in a second. Just invited him. And we're going to talk about intermittent fasting today. Give you guys a more in-depth look at what it is, how it can benefit you, why are people doing it, is it a fad, and how it can help you burn more fat, but also increase your longevity. So I'm going to wait for Ben Azadi to come on board. I'm going to double check to see if he's invited here. Let's see. Yep. Already sent the invite. So I'm just going to wait for him to come on board. So last time, if you haven't checked out our last episode, if you put in hashtag #BetterHumans, you'll see a series of episodes scroll up and populate on your feed. Check that out. Look at number one. Number one with Ben Azadi. So that's his book right there called Perfect Health. He published that one. He also published another book called The Intermittent Fasting Cheat Sheet Guide. Make sure you check that out. He also has a book about sleep. I'm going to post links to all those books in the description below. But I'm still waiting on Ben here. He should be on board pretty soon. Let's see where he's at. Yeah, where you at, Ben? What's up, Dan? How you doing, man? I see Dan's on board here. I met with Dan in Chicago. What's up, brother? Haven't seen you in a hot minute. Hopefully you're doing well in Chicago. Hopefully the weather is nice. Last time I was there was freaking cold as heck, but I'm sure it's going to get pretty cold here soon enough. But yeah, we're just waiting on Ben, guys. Ben Azadi is about to come on board pretty soon here. And when he comes on board, we'll get cracking. So, let's see. Where are you at, Ben? Let's see, what time is it? 9:59. All right, so he should be here in about a minute or so. And again, for those of you that are tuning in, we're going to talk about intermittent fasting. There he is. I see him. It's adding. Almost there. I see him hearting our post, so he should be on here pretty soon. Just waiting on it. Okay, come on, Ben. He's almost there. It's adding. I'm just waiting for it to add Ben. Let me double check. Let's see why it's not adding him. Let's try again. Add. Bring him on camera. Here we go.
Okay.
There he is.
What's up, brother? I was having a hard time to connect, but I made it, and I'm here in the flesh. What's
It's
up, brother?
cool, man. I was trying to entertain them with some random stuff. I was mumbling around, but we got you here.
Yes, I'm here. Thank you so much for having me again, Sumer. You're a freaking rock star, man.
Thank you.
I really appreciate you.
Thank you for being here, brother. I was just telling them while we were waiting that we're going to talk about intermittent fasting today. And some of the big questions I think I get a lot of is, what is it, number one? Why is it all of a sudden becoming such a big thing and everyone's talking about it? Is it a fad? Does it actually work? You know, what are the actual benefits behind it? Or is it just a bunch of BS and people are doing it and they're feeling like they don't have enough energy, they can't work out hard enough? Like what is going on? So I'll start with and I already mentioned all the books that you've published already, so I'll make sure I post that in the link below. So make sure you check that out, guys. But first question, Ben, is what is intermittent fasting? What is it?
Yeah, intermittent fasting is a tool. It's a very powerful tool. You know, just like a chainsaw is a very powerful tool that can get the job done and get things done for you. it could also be a very powerful tool that could hurt you if you don't know what you're doing.
Mm.
So you wouldn't just, if you've never had experience with a chainsaw, you wouldn't just grab one and start using it all over the place, unless you were like a serial killer. But if you're not a serial killer, you wouldn't just start fasting and experimenting with intermittent fasting if you don't really understand or have experience with it. So it's surprising to me because fasting is one of the most searched terms on the internet. It's like right after the ketogenic diet. And I didn't really expect that because there's really no money to be made from fasting. You know, there's actually a lot of money to be lost from companies, and it's not sexy. You know, it's just not like a diet. It's a tool.
Mm-hmm.
So it is popular, but it's not a health fad. It's a health fact because it's been around since the dawn of humankind. You know, the reason we exist is because of the amazing things that start to happen in the human body when we're fasting, which I'll get into. So to answer your question, it's a tool that can be used to unlock perfect health.
Gotcha. So if it's a tool, when we talk about like the immediate benefits, like say, for example, someone decides to fast for, I don't know, 14 hours, right? A 14-hour fast. Within that 14 hours, what are some of the things that are happening physiologically in the body that are beneficial to us?
If that person is fat adapted, if they put in the work to be ready to fast, they would experience a lot of cool things. The human body is hardwired the same way we were back in the day. I'm talking about our ancestors, our hunter and gatherer ancestors. So when we stop eating for 12, 14 hours, like you said, amazing processes happen in the human body. We raise our counter-regulatory hormones. These are norepinephrine, glucagon, cortisol, sympathetic nervous system, human growth hormone, which is a big one. All these counter-regulatory hormones all start to increase. And what's happening here is that the human body thinks, oh crap, I haven't eaten for 12 to 14 hours. I need to keep this body firing on all cylinders. I need to give it energy. I need to get it focused so it could go out there into the wild and hunt and kill the meal so we could stay alive. So that's what happens in the human body. It doesn't matter that we have Whole Foods grocery store across the street or a refrigerator stocked full of food. This happens because we're just hardwired that way. So it's an amazing process that we could actually use all of that, not to go and hunt and kill your next meal unless you want to do that, but for your task at hand, for a Facebook Live, for a project you're working on, a speech you're giving. We could utilize that in many, many ways.
So it's upregulating all these hormones, these neurotransmitters. And when it upregulates those things, are you priming your body to be in a better capacity to burn fat, build muscle, and or also priming your body to be able to have more longevity? Is that what's happening? Like when you have that state, if you're fat adapted and all that's happened?
Yeah. So let's unpack that. So to burn more fat, to put on more muscle. Yeah. Because once you go through your glycogen stores, right? When we eat food, we turn that food into sugar, strains of sugar, right? Called glycogen, and we put that in our muscle and our liver. So once we deplete that, and if you're fat adapted, your body's going to automatically start burning your body fat stores. This is the way we were designed to be. It's the reason we exist, because if we didn't have this process, our ancestors would not have survived. You know, they went days and weeks without food because the ability to burn their body fat for fuel. So it's a very powerful fat loss tool, because once you continue fasting, maybe you go a little longer to 24 hours or 36 hours or even 72 hours, you're just going to continue to eat off your body fat, which is the natural state we were meant to be. And I'll give you an example. Somebody who is very lean, who has 10% body fat, which is less than me, they have about 60,000 calories worth of energy. So they could go weeks without food and be totally fine, even though they're not putting food in their mouth, their body's feeding off their body fat, which is the way we were designed to be. So it's very powerful for fat loss. And then for muscle building, the human growth hormone. I mean, you get a 2,000% increase. Studies show a 2,000% increase in human growth hormone for men after a 24-hour fast, and a 1,300% increase in women after a 24-hour fast. Like, that's big time. People are paying their doctor thousands of dollars to get human growth hormone injected when they could just fast for 24 hours, dude. So yeah, it has very profound effects on muscle building.
Okay. So, it's interesting too, the common thing I hear a lot of is, whoa, I mean, I'm so hungry in the morning. And like, if I don't have that food, then I'm going to feel like I'm just hitting a lull, or I'm hitting this like state of just where I just deplete all the way down and plummet to like the utter abyss of no energy. And this is how dramatic it is, dude. It's like that dramatic is what I keep hearing. Now, what do you say to people that say that? Like, oh my God, there's no energy left. What do I do?
I would say that you're right. You would feel that way if you don't take the proper steps before you begin fasting. So I would never tell somebody to just go right into fasting, because that will happen to most people. You don't just sit on your couch for 10 years and get off the couch and run a marathon. You would destroy yourself.
Right.
So you don't do the same thing with this person that we're talking about. Most people, they're sugar burners, right? They've taught their body to get that hit of glucose every few hours so they can have energy. And that's not the way we were designed to be. This is burning fat as our birthright, not burning sugar. So they've taught themselves for many years to be a sugar burner. So step number one would be to replace a lot of the carbohydrates in your diet with healthy fats. So you do that first, and then you also simultaneously get rid of snacking. So you just have breakfast, lunch, dinner, eating more healthy fats, less carbohydrates. You would do that for 14, 21 days, and then you would test to see if you're fat adapted.
So fat adapted, when you say the word fat adapted, you mean like your capacity to use fat as a storage fuel, or a fuel rather?
Yes. Your capacity to have metabolic flexibility, meaning once you burn through your glucose, your glycogen, you could automatically switch to fat as a fuel source without any hiccup, meaning you don't feel, like you said, all those symptoms, feeling like you're going to drop into the abyss. Yeah, your ability to utilize fatty acids for fuel. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So now the other thing I wonder about is, like, you have the satiety hormones, leptin and ghrelin, right? Like, so ghrelin is like yelling at you saying, hey, feed me. And leptin is like your fat cells saying, yo, I'm satiated. What happens as you become more fat adapted, as you begin to go throughout this fasting process, and say you've done 12-hour fast, 14-hour fast, 16-hour fast, and you intersperse a few 24-hour fasts throughout your entire like fasting career, so to speak. What happens to your satiety hormones? Like, say for example, you were so used to like eating a croissant in the morning or eating a bagel, and then you go about your day and drink a coffee, and you just kind of like go through this process of sugar, and you go through these spikes. Now, what happens to your leptin and ghrelin after you become fat adapted?
Yeah, great question. Nobody asked me about ghrelin and leptin. I love that you asked me that.
Yeah.
Before I forget, I'm going to answer a question, but yes, for those of the people watching on this, thank you first and foremost for those who are watching this live, those who are watching the replay. Sumer is a freaking rock star, and if my friends are watching this and you're not friends with Sumer, send him a friend request right now, because he's in line with everything that I'm teaching, and he's just a cool dude. I also want to... anybody who shares this live stream, I'm gonna mail you a copy of my best-selling book on fasting. So if you share this live stream within the next 24 hours, so do it right now, I will mail you this. You just message me your address, and I will send you a copy, paperback copy of this book, and I'll send you the audio version, the audible version of this book. To answer your question, ghrelin and leptin. So yeah, I like to look at ghrelin. I tell my clients is that when ghrelin is the hunger hormone, right? So when you feel hungry and you have hunger pangs and your stomach is rumbling, that's ghrelin at its peak, right? And I relate ghrelin to a gremlin. It comes out, it makes noises, it sounds like gremlin. So what happens is that hunger, it never continues to increase. All hormones are pulsatile, meaning they spike and they go back down. It never just keeps going up and up and up. So you will never get to the point where you just can't stand it. Your hunger is just increasing. If you keep yourself occupied and busy, the ghrelin is going to go back down to baseline, always. Now, if you're experiencing a lot of ghrelin issues and leptin issues and you're not getting full and you just want to keep eating and eating and eating, it's because you are not fat adapted. You have taught your body to be that sugar burner. So when you fast, first and foremost, before you even fast, when you take that step that I told you about, eating healthy fats, eating less carbohydrates, you're going to normalize ghrelin and leptin. You're going to help your hormones out tremendously. You're going to make them become more sensitive, so you don't have to deal with those issues of being hungry all the time and low energy crashes, because you're teaching insulin, which is a master controller here, to be low when you're eating more healthy fats. So when you fast and eat more healthy fats and you stop snacking, you normalize all these hormones and they become more sensitive. You want sensitive hormones. So all these things improve.
Okay, so so for example, this is interesting because if those satiety hormones are improving, even insulin sensitivity is improving, and all that's happening, now when you do put in carbohydrate into your body, when you do eat that, because I think some people have this kind of misconception that if you're doing intermittent fasting, they're immediately associated with ketogenic. I think it's kind of like, oh, keto, intermittent fasting, they need to do it at the same time. And they get into that mindset and they get afraid of, oh, I got to cut out my carbs and this and that. Now, the question is, when you do eat carbs, now that you're more insulin sensitive, are those carbs now more able to be shuttled into your muscle cells and things like that versus into storage? Is my question.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, if you just look at the physiology of it, right? If you're on a 16-hour fast, right, and then you break your fast with a whole bunch of carbs, what happens is your glycogen stores are depleted by that point. So you're just going to replenish those glycogen stores. You have up to 2,000 calories that you could replenish, and then anything more than that will be stored as fat. But you have that 2,000 calorie buffer. So instead of that being stored as fat, that'll be into your muscle, into your liver. So it's a huge benefit for somebody. If you're eating a terrible diet, like if you're eating a standard American diet, you could continue eating that. I don't recommend it. But if you added fasting with that, you'll get benefits just by doing that alone. Just because you're going to deplete the glycogen stores and you're normalize some hormones. So it is associated with the ketogenic diet because they do something similar. They keep insulin low, which is great. The ketogenic diet is it's not black and white. There's many different ways to do the ketogenic diet. So you could go to McDonald's every day and just get a burger without the bun and say you're keto. That's not the right way to do it. And we also need carbs in certain amounts to convert different hormones. So I would say you can have your carbs and you'll still benefit when you're doing fasting.
Okay. Now, I think a lot of people, my buddy, you know who Matt Blackburn is, right? You follow his stuff? Okay. And I think Mike here is commenting, it's the good and bad microbes. So you hear this other thing about microbes, like your gut bacteria, your flora, and your fauna, all that stuff. Now, with fasting and things of that nature, granted, depends on what you're eating too, but does that drastically change your gut biome?
Oh my God, yeah. It has huge implications on your digestive health. Most people have digestive issues because they've never given their digestive system a rest, a break. It's like this, Sumer. It's like going to work, right? 9 to 5. You're putting in work from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and you're working all day long and you're just finished with your work day. It's 5 o'clock. You're walking to your car from your office and you get a phone call from your boss and he's like, hey, we need you to come back to work. We have this project. We need you to come back for 6 more hours. So you're like, so you go back to the office, you work 6 more hours, and then it's, what is that? It's going to be like 11 p.m. You walk to the office, and then you get another call from your boss. We need you to come back. Imagine this happening for years.
Yeah.
This is what's happening to your digestive system. So when you fast, you give it a period of rest and repair. And I forget the study. There was a study that showed you could actually create a whole new set of gut bacteria after I think it was 19 days fasting. You could regenerate an entirely new microbiome. I'll get the study for you and I'll put it in the comments. But yeah, it has huge implications on your gut health and positively impacting your gut health.
Now, would you say, this is kind of an interesting question, but would you say that your gut biome quite literally controls even your neurotransmitter release, and possibly that neurotransmitter release controls a lot of your habits in a way, or a lot of your urges, a lot of your cravings, a lot of the things you want to do?
Yeah, totally. It all starts with the gut. Like Hippocrates said, all disease begins in the gut. Totally, because if you're not breaking down protein sufficiently, you're not able to create all these neurotransmitters. And if you're not creating all these neurotransmitters, you're going to be depressed. You're going to lack a drive for whatever it is you want to accomplish. And there's going to be a lot of things going on that are a direct result of your gut. And H. pylori, which is a bacteria infection, I actually have it, and I'm going through a protocol right now to get rid of it, me and my girlfriend, because if you have a partner with it, and that affects your neurotransmitter. So, and H. pylori, 50% of the population have it, It's a bacteria infection. So everything starts with the gut, dude. And totally believe that it will affect your neurotransmitters and a lot of things going on with you.
Okay, so now with that connection between the gut and the brain, like there's this axis, right, that's connected by. Now you hear a lot of studies talk about, oh, the enteric nervous system is so important. You have so many nerves in here, probably more nerves around your gut than you do in your brain. So there's a lot of interesting things happening there. Now, with that being said, if we understand now to some degree, have like a basic cursory understanding of the fact that your gut biome is changing, things are changing like that. When you hear people say that they're depressed, they come to you, hey Ben, I've been depressed, I'm anxious, I'm feeling like I'm out of whack, my emotions are unstable. Do you first go to food and fasting and things of that nature? And the reason, and this question is probably multifaceted, but the reason why I asked that is because given like what I've been going through and what you've watched from my last blood test, I've noticed, and I did a video on this like a second ago, like the body kind of is like this wild animal, right? And if it has these biological cues, and if you don't feed the animal, like sunlight, water, all the basic foundational pieces, then this piece right here, this higher intellect, the higher consciousness, the things that you want to change up here, it's harder to change that if this like tangible thing down here is not something you can come back to. It's like I can't grow from a non-grounded place, right? So what I'm experiencing is that this is able to change so much faster. My emotions are more stable as a result of this. So my question to you is when you get people that are like, I'm anxious, I'm depressed. I mean, yes, it's so much going on, right? They go to the therapist, they go to that, go to this. But do you feel like there's a fundamental issue happening with them like down here that's causing all these issues?
Yeah. And I was depressed. I had suicidal thoughts when I was rock bottom. And it's just, depression is just a label. I think, I don't even think it really exists until we create it. And I know that's some people might say, what are you talking about? Like I've been diagnosed with depression. I think that you've been diagnosed because they want to write you a prescription, which is not going to get to the root cause. Because if you're depressed, that is a result of the problem, right? Like you said, the problem is inside. It's in here. It's with the gut. It's with your lifestyle. It's with hidden stressors in your life. So if somebody came to me and they're like, hey, I'm depressed, I have all this going on, I would look at hidden stressors. What is a day in the life look like for you? What are you eating? What's your morning routine? Are you walking barefoot on the grass? Do you have relationship issues? Do you lack purpose with your job? Like these are hidden stressors. But if you go to a therapist or you go to most doctors, they're going to look at the end result, the symptoms, and they'll write you a prescription and categorize it as depressed or ADD based off of the symptom when it's far removed from the actual cause, which is hidden stressors. So I would look at the hidden stressors.
Okay, so you want to take a more like holistic approach, looking at everything. Now, I wonder about that too, man, because like I've invested in therapists myself, right? And I've gone through the whole process of like understanding my human psyche, but not until I like really understood the physiology of like what's happening in my bio, like my biome, my gut, all this stuff. Could I even really access this to the greatest degree? Like I could make some headway up here, but I couldn't really touch like the root issues up here when I didn't really go down into like what's happening down here. So I find that fascinating for several reasons, but I think you hear so many people that are susceptible like to these up and down, like kind of energetic, almost like energetic, like
imbalances.
Yeah, like spikes and plummets, right? You see that all the time. And so, I wonder with intermittent fasting, things of that nature, when someone starts it, right? So someone begins intermittent fasting, IF, and they're already apprehensive, they're afraid of it. They're already worried about their ups and downs. Like, what if this makes me more of an angry person? Like, I'm like more of a hangry, pissed off person at everyone around me. And you talked about this kind of like progression of how you start with IF. Like, you start by basically introducing these kind of foods. Do you start with a smaller fast first? Like, do you do like a 10-hour fast first? Or how do you begin people on this process? Or do you just throw them into a 24-hour fast? Maybe you need to reset your gut. What do you do?
Yeah, I would first do that 14 to 21 day process, right? Of eating more fats, eating less carbs, no snacking.
Okay.
And then after that, once we,
Is that week 1 then? Like you do for a week's worth of that?
that's for 14 to 21 days.
14, 21 days. Okay, sorry. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
14, 20 days.
Depending on the person, it might be even longer. If somebody is really obese and they've been this way for many, many years, it might be over a month. And then we would test. And how we would test to see if they're fat adapted, there's 2 ways. The most accurate way is to actually buy a ketone and glucose machine.
Okay.
And in the morning, you would test your glucose and test your ketones. And if it shows that your ketones are 0.6 and above, you're fat adapted. Some people don't want to do that because they just don't want to buy the machine or they don't want to prick their finger. So the second way to test, which is easier, is to just, after doing this for 14 to 21 days, we say, okay, now we're going to test it out. Let's see if you're fat adapted. I want you to skip lunch tomorrow and let's see how you feel. So you skip a meal, you see how you feel. And if this person skips that lunch and they feel irritable, they feel anxious, they feel hangry, they are not fat adapted. They have to continue putting in some work.
Gotcha.
But if they skip lunch and they feel good, they actually have more energy and more focus, hey, they're fat adapted. And then I would put them on a 12-hour fast, meaning they would eat their last meal at 8 p.m. and they would not eat anything. They would go to sleep after that. And then they would eat their first meal no earlier than 8 a.m. the next day. So 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. And you're utilizing sleep as a fasting tool, right? So that's a 12-hour fast. I would do that for maybe, it depends on the person, but maybe like 3 to 5 to 7 days, and then go to a 16-hour fast, and then assess from there, see how they felt, and then go to a 24-hour fast. So it's a ramp-up period, and it's not a cookie-cutter approach. It's very individualized.
Totally. Okay, that makes sense. I think it helps a lot of people to understand that because a lot of them already have so much apprehension going into it. They're terrified of it. And they're already emotional. They already have a visceral response to the idea of it, right? So it just cracks me up to hear it. I'm currently doing like 14 to 16 hour fast. And it depends on my training too. If I'm like really busting it, I might change a little bit. But for the most part, 14 to 16 hours is like my sweet spot. But even then, here's the next follow-up question. Within the time window that you're eating, I think some people are like, how do I fit in the amount of food that I need to go about my workouts, to recover from workouts, to recover from whatever it is? And let's give you a more specific example that applies to most people. So most people, they might go to the gym maybe 2 or 3 times a week, right? Might hit a pretty intense, like CrossFit-esque kind of like workout, barbell training, some conditioning. Maybe 2 or 3 times a week, they hit some basic like low intensity cardio with some mobility work. So you're talking about like 5 to 6 days of activity, right?
Okay.
3 of those are pretty damn intense. Now, say this person has become a fat adapted after a while. They've gone to the protocols, become fat adapted. Now, if they're worried about getting enough to recover, what do you say to that? Is it an issue of getting enough, or is it more of a quality issue?
I would first ask them what their primary goal is. Is their primary goal to get bigger and stronger?
Bigger and stronger. Let's do that one.
That's their primary goal.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if that is your goal over health and longevity, right? I would say that you would want to at least do a 12-hour fast. Everybody should be at least doing a 12-hour fast.
Okay.
And then you have 12 hours to get in all your calories, all your meals, all your macros, and whatever it is that you need to get. If you want to put on size, you need to be in a surplus. That's where calories do matter. And in general, calories don't matter, and I tell people to stop counting them. But if you have specific goals like this is where calories do matter because you need to be in the surplus. I would say don't be afraid of fasting because you get that human growth hormone ramp up, which helps put on muscle. And then when you are not fasting, you're going to eat healthy. You're going to have 12 to 14 hours, or I should say 10 to 12 hours to get in your meals. And if you're eating a lot of healthy fats, they're more calorie dense. So you get more calories and more bang for your buck with that. So there's a way to have it all. You know, you could put on strength. You could put on strength and size and have health and longevity. It's just a longer approach, and people want that. Most people are microwave thinking. They want like immediate results. So
No, that was my follow-up question, man, because I think there is a way to bridge the gap. And I'm experiencing it myself right now. Like I'm hitting squat deadlift numbers that, you know, I definitely was doing when I used to do strongman. Now I'm like, how the hell am I doing that? 4 years ago, like I started the business and definitely wasn't putting enough like time in the gym and eating and all that, but just from these little shifts that I'm doing now, like that really amount to big shifts at the end of the day, I'm like pulling and squatting and pressing way more, right? And it's not like I'm eating a bunch. There's no freaking way. If anything, the thing that's changed the most is the micronutrient load has gone like way up the chain. That's been the big change. Protein content, not even that high. I mean, it's decently high, but it's not even close to like what I used to eat in strongman training. Like no freaking way. So I wonder about that. I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Like I've been going through this kind of process where it's about 14 to 16 hour fasts for the most part. Sometimes 12-hour fasts if I do heavy deadlifts, heavy squat. But for the most part, dude, most of my diet is like lots of cruciferous vegetables, lots of leafy greens, lots of spices, lots of ginger, onion, all that good stuff. A little bit of eggs, a little bit of fish, grass-fed beef on my big like barbell days. Like, what's going on?
I love that. And how's your sleep?
Sleep has
that improved?
Like, you know, after the banana tea, dude. It was decent. It was like 6 hours, right? And it was pretty quality. But the banana tea and the nighttime routines have really helped. And like you were right, man. It's freaking like nature's NyQuil. Like you just go to fucking bed. But no, yeah, it's better now. Now it's about 7.5 hours to 8 and even higher quality. I can tell because my eyes feel lighter. So yeah, definitely better.
Yeah, that's definitely a factor into the results you're getting, the micronutrients. And you know what? It's important to put on muscle. Muscle is the organ of longevity. So that is important. I'm not saying not to train. I want to make that clear. If you want to live a healthy, long life, you got to put on muscle. You got to lift weights. Now, people take it to an extreme. I used to have my gym, right, my CrossFit gym, and I used to tell people, what are you doing here? This is like your 5th day in a row doing a CrossFit class, which is just very intensive. So people go overboard. So it's about finding that happy medium, like you talked about, having that balance of fasting and feasting and training and recovery. And everybody is different, so I can't give you an answer that's going to help everybody.
Sure.
But I would say to work with somebody like Sumer, if you are somebody who is in Austin or if you're friends with Sumer, he could share with you everything he learns. He could be your coach. And it's important to have somebody who's been there before so they could customize something for you. So I would say to work with the coach who could customize something to help you create that balance of training, recovery, fasting, and feasting. And once you find that, it's magical.
And so, I mean, that's awesome. And I think the one thing I'm wondering about, and I think you kind of answered it, but do you feel like the reason why this is happening, the strength gains and all that, is multifaceted, right? One could be like my previous training, right? Because maybe I'm just more adapted to being able to pick up on training. That's number one. But number two, do you think the sleep is a factor? All that's helping. Do you think hormonally, just from all the habits, hormonally the environment is such that it is in a good state to do those things, build muscle, get stronger, recuperate that nervous system? Do you think that is the primary like thing that's happening within this container that's allowing me to get stronger?
Oh yeah, absolutely, totally, dude. Your hormones, your cell membrane, that's as upstream as it gets. Now there's like specifics to what's going on there that we don't know, but definitely your hormones are playing a factor. Like you said, and I've used this before, and when I use it, I give you a shout out. Hormones are the traffic cops, right? They're directing traffic. This is your quote. Yeah. They're directing traffic. They're helping cars get to their destination without crashing. So if you get them communicating efficiently, that's going to result in what you're talking about, all the gains you're making. So for sure, yes, your hormones are playing a factor.
Now, switch gears. What if someone wants to just lose fat? Like they're really overweight, they have a lot of inflammation, maybe they're like 20, 30 pounds over where they want to be, and they're holding and retaining a lot of fat. Now the game shifts a little bit. And even the funny thing is the people in that area, that camp, so to speak, are still worried about not enough protein, not eating enough. What if I work out and I lose all my muscle? So what do you say to those people?
I would say that you're not going to lose muscle when you fast unless you get to 5% body fat or less. So that will not happen. If you are fat adapted, you're not going to lose muscle. I would say also to do longer do block fasting. Once you are fat adapted and you've done 16-hour fasting, 24-hour fasting, then you would throw in like a 3-day fast, a 5-day fast. Your body is going to eat everything it needs. It's going to take it from your fat energy, and it's going to use that for fuel. And there's really nothing to worry about. This is the process. This is our creator designed us to be this way, right? The world record for the longest fast is 382 days, dude.
What?
382 days, right? This 450-pound Scottishman named Angus Burberry, right? That was his name. 27-year-old. He said, I'm going to go on a fast. I'm going to just drink water and have a multivitamin. So after 382 days, it was medically supervised. He went from 450 pounds to 180 pounds.
Holy shit.
Yeah, dude, I'm telling you. So this is just an extreme example to show people that there's nothing to be afraid of. Like, you have this body fat to burn it. And I get it all the time, people, because even when I used to own my gym, I can't fast, I'm going to lose all my muscle. And that doesn't make sense, because that's like saying, I'm going to store firewood all summer long to get ready for the cold winter months, right? So when winter comes around, I have this firewood to burn to keep me warm. So you store all this firewood over the summer, and then winter comes around and it's cold, and instead of grabbing that firewood for fuel that you've been storing, you go to your couch, you chop up your couch, and you throw that into the furnace. Like, it makes no sense. The human body is not stupid. We don't store all this body fat for when we're not eating, the chips are down, and we burn muscle instead of the body fat. Like, we are storing this to burn it when we're not eating. So I would tell them, once you're fat adapted, you have nothing to worry about. If you want to understand more about the physiology and have a structured approach, then hire a coach. Like, join my program, work with Sumer, and we'll guide you.
Steven just said, so that's how I'm going to get to 180 pounds. Fast 382 days. No, okay, so
I did.
Go ahead.
Don't blame me, Steven. Don't blame me.
So to go back to Angus, like, okay, this dude, so he drank water. He had a multivitamin. Was there anything else he was doing, or was it just that? Was he drinking like certain herbs or drinking like aminos, or just no, it's pure just water, multi, and that's it?
Yeah, and you can look up his before and after photo. He doesn't even have. Here's the crazy thing. He doesn't even have like loose skin, because his body, because of the autophagy, his body got rid of damaged protein. And then when he finally broke his fast, it built new protein. So he doesn't even have like loose. He looks incredible.
That's amazing. 382 days. Okay. Yeah. All right. So here's the next question. What is autophagy? For those who are watching, what is autophagy? Why is it important?
Autophagy. Okay. So I'm going to give you an analogy, what autophagy is. So let's say we have our refrigerator, right? And it has a whole bunch of groceries in our refrigerator. And all these groceries, they have an expiration date, right? Best used by October 13th, 2018, October, whatever. If we let those groceries in our refrigerator expire, and instead of grabbing them, taking them out of the fridge and throwing them into the trash, instead of doing that, we actually just kind of push them back towards the back of the fridge. Then we go to the supermarket, and we buy new groceries, and we put them in the fridge in front of the expired groceries, and we just leave it there for months. So we have the new groceries, and we have all these expired groceries, and we leave it in that fridge for months. That's going to be a disgusting, toxic environment, right? There's going to be mold, bacteria, disease. The human body is like that refrigerator. We have proteins and cells and fats that have expiration dates on them in the human body. So if we're not giving ourselves a period of time where we're cleaning out the fridge, we're going to get mold, bacteria, disease in our body. And what happens is when we fast, the body actually creates this process called autophagy, where it seeks out damaged cells, damaged proteins, these expired groceries, and it cleans house. It takes them out of your refrigerator. And then when you break the fast, it puts new groceries in your body, new cells, new proteins. That's why think of it like Pac-Man going through your body, eating up these damaged cells, and then it regenerates new cells. There's a world-renowned doctor, an oncologist, the cancer doctor in Boston College. His name is Dr. Thomas Seyfried, and he wrote a book called Cancer as a Metabolic Disease. He's a leading expert in cancer. In his book, he says, if you were to complete a 7-day water-only fast once per year, you would reduce your chances of getting any cancer by upwards of 95%.
Wow.
95. Because of this autophagy. Dude, 95% because of this autophagy process. So that's why fasting is such a powerful tool against cancer.
Okay, and probably against like a lot of diseases then, period. Like
Yeah.
any and
Yeah.
all chronic issues. Damn.
Yep.
Okay, so with water, you've heard of water fast and there's also dry fast. Now, what are like does dry fast hold like a certain benefit over water fast? Like what's going on with that?
Yeah, you actually get 3 times the autophagy with dry fasting, dude.
Damn, 3 times?
Yeah, you get triple the effect. But it's extreme. It's extreme. So if you do a dry fast, you would have to be a pro already with fasting, and you would be very much, in a house, just relax. You wouldn't be exerting yourself at all. But you would get triple the benefits of the autophagy effect. But it's extreme, like I said. So it has its place for some. If God forbid I got really sick, I would go on a dry fast. I would let my body just do its thing.
Shit. I mean, it's fascinating because, and it's fascinating and it makes sense at the same time because you look back through evolutionary history and it's like these people have been doing it for years, and it's not like it's like that meme, like, but did you die? You fasted, but did you die? No, you didn't. You were fine. You were okay. If anything, you're getting better. Your skin's clearing up. You're digesting better. So it's just this fascinating thing that, we've talked about it before. Like, there's this idea that's been propagated from like Kraft and all these big like companies that you got to eat at these many times a day, or even bodybuilding. Like, you got to eat 4 times a day, 5 times a day. If you don't hit that cadence, everything's gone to shit. And it's like, it's cool that we're having this conversation now because this is how we reach people. It's how we get out to people. It's the only way because these big companies have so much control, but social media is even more fucking powerful than we can even imagine. So that's freaking amazing, dude. So
yeah.
Go ahead.
What you just said there is so true. So for those of you watching this, that's why it's important for you to share this live stream, because you never know, somebody who's friends with you who have no idea who I am or who Sumer is, they're going to come across this live stream. Maybe they watch it and they do some research and they just change their life forever, and they change their family's life because you shared this live stream. So I just want to just ask you, please share this. If you share it, I'm going to send you my book for free. We need to get this message out there. And then going back to the fasting thing real quick, if you see an animal in the wild, like my dog who's sleeping here underneath my desk, if he doesn't feel good, if he has some stomach issues, he's not going to eat. He doesn't, it's instinctively. Animals don't eat when they're sick because they want to fast to let their body repair themselves. And when they feel better, then they eat. It's instinctual. So we need to go back to our roots because this is the way we were designed to be.
Last question, bro. Like, at the level of your DNA, I think to some degree, most people now have heard of like your epigenome now. For those who haven't heard about epigenetics, definitely check it out. But the epigenome, everyone's kind of like concerned that they're doomed to their DNA. Like, here's our genetic code, and we're coded like this, and it's going to express into certain proteins, and what gets expressed is what it is, right? So now at the level of, say you have like this genetic code, and some of the codes for, I don't know, heart disease or whatever it is, you're just more susceptible to those things. Your genes are not as robust. At the level of your DNA, I would assume this is changing how your genes are expressed, yeah?
Yes, they are. And that's such a great point that you brought up. It's a huge misconception that people think they don't have control over their future because of their genetics. I'm here to tell you that your genetics influence maybe upwards of 2% of the disease you get. That's it. So you have 98% control over which genes are going to be expressed. That's epigenetics, like you talked about. So I want you to think of the genes that you were dealt with at birth. You can't change that. It's like having a gun and you load the gun. That's the genes that you have when you're born. And then your diet, your lifestyle, whatever structures you have in your life determine whether you pull the trigger on that gun. So you have control over that. And once you understand that, you know that fasting and grounding and meditation and strength training and surrounding yourself with people like Sumer, having this environment, you're going to have control over which genes are expressed versus which genes you don't want expressed. So it's such a powerful way to wrap your mind around it. And new science is proving this every single year. So I would say you have control. If you think you don't, then you're probably right, because it's just, it starts here first. Whether you believe you have control or believe you don't have control,
You're
you're
right.
right.
Damn. Well, on that note, man, this has been awesome, bro. I've thoroughly enjoyed it, and I really think of this like you said, like the loaded gun analogy. I always think of like a video game. It's like, you start the video game without any skill points. You don't have any experience, EXP. Then all of a sudden you gain this EXP and you gain all these fucking skills. The next thing you know, like you're changing the way like your DNA is being expressed. The same thing. It's like it's your hero's journey, and like be the hero of your own journey. Like Joe Rogan says, be the hero of your own journey. And Ben's doing a freaking awesome job with helping you do that. So I'm going to post links to all of his books in the post below. So make sure you check him out. Make sure you click on those as well. Check him out. There are 3 books, correct? There's Perfect Health.
There's 3 books. Perfect Health booklet, fasting book, and the sleep book. I also wanted to say that I'm doing a webinar this Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern time. It's a free webinar all about intermittent fasting, and I have 14 seats left available before I reach capacity. So if you go to benazadiwebinar.com, you could be one of the 14 people who reserve it, and I can teach you more about fasting. My 3 books, you'll post a link. And yeah, if you're my friend watching this, send Sumer a follow. Sumer is a rock star. This conversation is so powerful. And I want to acknowledge you and say thank you for the work that you're doing. I learn so much from you every time I see you post about something or when I have a conversation with you. And I just want to say you're doing great work, brother. And I'm really proud of you. And I'm excited for all the things you're going to create.
Thank you, man. I want to have you back on this again. We're going to do a part 3.
We'll do it. I'm ready, brother, whenever you are, man.
Much love.
Have a great day, okay?
Peace.
Much love, bro.